find out that Werewolves is actually better in more of a controlling kind of blue spell, a lot of blue instants kind of
I was thinking of the deck
situation.
list, and I was thinking about how many cards actually matter, and I ended up wanting to cut half of the cards. So if I'm cutting half of them anyway, I could just play blue.
Yeah, there you go. Well, on to this match. On the left, we have Aaron Snover playing mono green. And on the right, my buddy Scott MacCallum, Mr. Scotty Mac. Some of you guys may know Scott from the A-Team podcast. Rocking the ManaDeprived.com shirt there. Mana Deprived is where the A-Team podcast can be found every week. The guys are he drove all the way down from Canada to play this weekend. Scott, I was talking about him a little while ago. He's playing black-white tokens, and he's got the forward Gideon Lawkeeper kind of build, which you didn't like. Jerry doesn't like, but maybe Scott will show us why he likes it so much.
And there's Gideon's Lawkeeper.
Yeah, there it is.
And my one major issue with Gideon's Lawkeeper here is that it's very mana intensive in a deck that's playing tons of 3s, a bunch of 4s, and even a couple 5s.
Both of these guys are 3-0 right now, so far so good. Scott with a turn 2 Honor of the Pure. Swings in with the Lawkeeper.
With his Gideon's Lawkeeper, putting Aaron down to 18 here. And perhaps he just needs a 1-drop, and as far as 1-drops go, maybe Gideon's Lawkeeper is just better than Champion in that deck.
Yeah, I mean, he can beat down for a while, and then later on, Tumble Magnet.
Aaron cast a green Sunseal for 3 and searched his library for a Dungrove Elder. Right now a 3/3 hexproof. And the mono green deck, one thing that Todd Anderson told me was that its best matchup was humans. And human seems pretty similar to the black-white token strategy, so I'd be interested to see if the green deck continues to do really well against that type of strategy. I think Sword of War and Peace has to be one of the best cards you could possibly have against black-white tokens.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Sword of War and Peace has just, the stock has skyrocketed recently. We don't have Stoneforge Mystic, so you can't just go around playing just a couple copies like we did with Sword of Feast and Famine. So a second Honor of the Pure from Scott, Evolving Wilds, and
we're going to have to see if he
Scott
can
passes back here.
Stage a comeback from an early Dungrove Elder.
Yeah, it would have been really nice if he would have had a Plains there to to deal with the Dungrove Elder.
Another Honor of the Pure can get out of hand very quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
He gets, it often doesn't seem very threatening when your opponent just has a couple Honor of the Pures and only one guy, but
as soon as there's a handful of guys on the board, those Honor of the Pures will certainly have your attention.
Yeah, and I'm also surprised Scott didn't attack last turn with the Gideon's Lawkeeper. It was at the same power and toughness as Dungrove Elder, and I think it's very unlikely that Aaron would have blocked the Gideon's Lawkeeper with the Dungrove Elder.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that myself.
And trading it, I guess you couldn't trade it. Maybe he was afraid that Aaron was going to attack him back with the elves, and he thought that the light was going
to save some damage. Or maybe he was thinking if Aaron doesn't have a forest, maybe he can hold off the Dungrove just by that, that Aaron wouldn't want to trade, right? And there's Sorin. That is the first Sorin Lord of Innistrad we've seen on the table this weekend.
Let's see what Scott chooses to do. Chooses to make a vampire. Now, it's important to remember that these vampires are black, so they are not affected by the Honor of the Pures.
They do have lifelink.
And the lifelink on those tokens is surprisingly relevant.
Yeah.
Ooh, and there's the Sword of War and Peace. Sword of War and Peace, like I mentioned before, is extremely strong against this black-white token deck. Sorin's going to do a pretty good job of holding it off, though. Right, Sword gets picked up and swings in the red zone. Scott wisely choosing to block with a vampire token. Now what Scott's going to want to do is Scott's going to want to continue making vampire tokens until he can either ultimate a
overwhelm
Sorin and gain a massive advantage, or until he can lethal him with an emblem. At the point that the Sorin tokens are overcome by Scott, I believe that he'll probably have no cards left in his hand, which will make the Sword of War and Peace not nearly as threatening.
Yeah, he's already dumped a couple of cards onto the board just this turn. Played a land, Intangible Virtue to join the Honor of the Pure, and of course another vampire there to hold off the sword. Now, Aaron, I would think, might want to equip that sword to one of the elves, maybe, because then it kind of makes it a little less. He's splitting up his threats. Obviously, Scott would end up chumping the elf, and the Dungrove Elder could get in. But at this point, Scott, I think, has white mana up and the Gideon's Lawkeeper, so he could tap down the Elder as soon as it's not holding the sword.
Yeah, and I think he was 1 mana short of equipping the elf last turn, so at this point I think it's too late, but in general you're right, that if Scott had a Lingering Souls in his hand, for example, would have been a really nice play.
Yeah.
Now, I'm guessing that Scott has a Midnight Haunting in his hand, based on his mannerisms currently.
So there goes. This is Aaron's doing sort of what I suggested. Now he tapped the Dungrove Elder before combat. Oh no! In response to the equip, why I would have tapped the Dungrove Elder.
Well, Dungrove Elder's hexproof.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I'm like, oh, it has protection from white. That's why he can't hit it.
Ooh, and Scott chooses to take a hit from the sword.
Just thinking about it, yeah.
Scott reveals himself to not have the Midnight Haunting in hand. Does he have an Elspeth or some other type of big play here? So that would be very important.
All right, Sorin, +1 again. Get another vampire there.
Scott deciding to attack with his Lawkeeper here. Ooh, and a Lingering Souls, and that's backbreaking here for Aaron. Scott, with that one Lingering Souls, able to
really get back into this
power. The Lingering Souls plus Flashback here is worth 12 points. Wow, it's worth 16 points of power.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of 4/5s.
Wow. One card. I mean, it obviously is working with a lot of other cards there, but
that's the one thing, is it's one card and 4 bodies, and it's it's so good.
I mean, is it better than Spectral Possession?
It's interesting. It's different.
Yeah.
I think Spectral Possession, is one of the best white aggressive cards ever, and Lingering Souls certainly is on par with it, so it's pretty impressive. Scott jumping with his vampire token again. Aaron's going to go ahead and play Bird, which is going to pick up that sword. Wouldn't be surprised to see a -2 to Sorin here. And then an attack for lethal damage.
Yep, there it is. Emblem.
And now Scott's going to go ahead and attack for 20 with his Air Force. Aaron will be able to block 1 with his Bird and will die.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, there's the game 1 handshake again.
Oh, the game 1 handshake.
That's the new
common
it's
occurrence
the
here in
breakout.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, breakout tech of the
new tech.
weekend.
Game 1 handshake.
But yeah, very nice job by Scott. I mean, recovering from facing down Dungrove Elder and Sword of War and Peace, you'd think that's pretty tough. And like you said, Sword of War and Peace is trouble for the black-white tokens deck. But I guess when you have all the creatures and the Sorin Emblem and an Honor of the Pure and another Honor of the Pure and
an Intangible Virtue,
you really just had, all the anthems and all the creatures.
Yeah, Scott played that game really well. An important note is Sword of War and Peace, the green deck has the ability to play it on turn 2, which is something very rare because it plays the birds and the elves. But if the Sword of War and Peace comes down a little bit late, the black-white token deck can reliably race it because the anthem effects in conjunction with Lingering Souls, like we saw, it just puts so much power on the table so fast.
So, looking at the sideboards
here.
Right, Scott has access to 2 swords of his own, War and Peace. Not necessarily. Well, it's funny. Like, these swords are so good, not relevant against the mono green deck, the protection anyway. But it's almost like, wow, it's got some really good abilities. It makes me feel like I'd want them anyway. But I don't know that Scott brings those in. Mirren Crusader, 3 copies of that in the sideboard. And 3 Leonin Relic Warder as well for Scott.
All that seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Aaron, on the other hand, has 2 copies of Corrosive Gale, some Naturalizes, some Ratchet Bombs, and again, I would be very happy to see him bring in Gliss the Trader. Perhaps that should just be in this deck.
Yeah, you're bringing it in so often. That kind of indicates you might want to just keep it in the main deck.
Now, another card he might consider bringing in here is the Precursor Golem. He didn't see any spot removal from Scott in game 1. But, hypothetically, Scott could have.
Yeah, I mean, he's got access to black, so it's not crazy for him to have some spot removal.
And Aaron Snover is playing many more Sword of Feast and Famine than he is War and Peace, even though he drew the correct sword that game. I guess he probably expected a lot more green today. Yeah,
I mean, if this were that other mono green matchup we saw, this would be great, right? I mean, he has 3 Sword of Feast and Famine and 1 Sword of War and Peace. Those guys, I think, had things shifted the other way, where they would have rather had the Sword of Feast and Famine.
Yeah, seeing these lands columns with just 24 fires is pretty funny. Now, for cards he's going to take out, I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron took out Acidic Slime, Phyrexian Metamorphs, and perhaps Sword of Feast and Famines.
Yeah, give him a good way to make some room. Trying to figure out what Scott would take out, because he really, a lot of this stuff really kind of just has such internal synergies. You almost don't want to take out anthem effects. You don't want to take out, he doesn't have a whole lot of ways to deal with anything on the other side. So he's got 3 Oblivion Rings. You kind of want to keep those, especially if you expect more Sword of War and Peace.
Yeah, I mean, if he also post board, I think he's going to be really happy about those Leonin Relic Warders.
Yeah.
But taking 1 hit from War and Peace is much different than taking 2 or 3 hits from it. Now, Bellying Tangleworm, really important in this matchup.
Yeah, now this is one where it'll actually be worth having, and you don't want to side it out, because
Certainly
Nice.
not. Yeah, Scott's ability to block basically forever while he waits to assemble that huge late game swing is pretty obnoxious if you're a mono green deck that's just playing dudes and planning on attacking with them.
Yeah, do you think Scott brings in Doomblades? I mean, when he's facing down Dungrove Elders and Thruns?
I don't know. I don't think it's very good here.
Yeah.
Like, your opponent has Strangleroot Geist and things of that sort. Scout turn 1 Plains. I haven't seen any black-white token decks that have utilized Taxian Probe or Gutshot yet. And a turn 2 Dungrove Elder from Aaron Snover. That's a pretty big game, especially if it's some lands to follow it up with.
Nice early pressure there. And Intangible Virtue from Scott.
I must ask again, is there any type of tangible virtue? Aaron casts a Sword of Feast and Famine and attacks with his guys. Let's see if Scott can begin to develop his board. He does. He casts a Mirror Crusader,
And that's gonna be pretty big for Scott.
a Mirror Crusader has protection from Aaron's deck.
Yeah.
essentially.
Yep. Unfortunately, that Intangible Virtue would have been better to be an Honor of the Pure at this point. Green Sun Zenith from Aaron. And it's for 3, so we're going to see another Dungrove Elder here. We're going to see...
I'm assuming it's going to be another Dungrove Elder.
There it is.
So let's see what Scott can find here. Scott with a Lingering Souls. That's a lot of power again. 4 power.
So now it's good that he had the Intangible Virtue instead of the Honor of the Pure.
Yeah. Aaron continuing to hit all of his land drops, making those Dungrove Elders forces to be reckoned with. So how did you like Gideon's Lockkeeper when you saw it?
It didn't do too much in that game. I mean, I guess I don't think it was so impressive game 1, really. But then again, he's playing against hexproof creatures and guys with pro-white when they're holding that sword last game, so...
That's fair.
I don't know if it's great in this matchup, and that might be one of the cards that he took out. Because he really can't tap, Thrun or Dungrove Elder or anything holding the Sword of War and Peace. Now, he doesn't know that Aaron only has 1 Sword of War and Peace.
I mean, he's got to be assuming that Aaron's got, 2 or 3 copies of that card. Maybe even 4. These mono green decks have, last week we saw most of them were playing 4 copies of Sword of War and Peace.
All right, so it looks like Aaron has a Naturalize for the Intangible Virtue.
And that's going to be pretty important here. Now,
Still getting in with the tokens there.
yeah, important though that he was able to block that sword hit. And another forest. That's going to make these Dungrove Elders into 6/6s.
Now an Acidic Slime to take out... What land was that? Was that an Isolated Chapel? I think it was his
Yeah.
only access to black.
Aaron was able to cut Scott off from access to black mana. Very strong play.
5 mana for Honor of the Pure and Lingering Souls.
And that's pretty good.
Yeah, he's just loading up the board. Now, Jonesy on Twitter mentions Perilous Mirror in the mono green deck might be a pretty good card to consider, especially because people are playing so many Mirror Crusaders.
You know, and if you're going so far as to play Perilous Mirror, and you're doing it to beat Mirror Crusader, perhaps you should. Oh man, I lost my train of thought.
Perilous Mirror in mono green.
Yeah, well, yeah, you have Glissa post sideboard.
Yeah, I mean, it makes the Glissa even better, yeah.
Yeah.
Or makes Perilous Mirror better, even. Whichever way you want to look at it.
You really do need a way to deal with Mirror Crusader, though. It's just such a great job, just holding the team back forever. Of course, Aaron, a 7/7 and a 9/9 Dungrove Elder, getting into the red zone. Scott can block the 7/7 Dungrove Elder and will likely end up chumping, or yes, he'll block the 9/9, will likely end up chumping the other.
Yeah, that doesn't seem so bad, you know, considering what's coming at you.
Yeah. I mean, he's in a pretty bad spot here.
All right, so Llanowar Elves picks up that Sword of Feast and Famine.
The board state right now, kind of at a stall. Scott doing a little bit of math.
So his tokens are all 2/2s.
And his Mirror Crusader is a 3/3.
Yeah.
Now, if he had had the black mana to flash that back, the next turn he likely could have lethaled Aaron.
Yeah, just looking at his list, he's got 4 Swamps, 4 Isolated Chapel, and 4 Evolving Wild. So seems like plenty of ways to get access to black. So I'm just kind of not seeing it, I guess.
He does have 12 sources. Again, Aaron did Acidic Slime away his black source.
Right. So it wasn't as if he didn't have it at all, but you know, he didn't. He's not seeing the second black source.
A big attack from Scott there.
Yeah, sort of surprising that he went in with the Mirror Crusader when it's doing such a great job of holding off guys with swords.
And I mean, one of the major things about just attacking there is that it puts your opponent in range, so they're just dead next turn to an attack from just your flyers without any of the pair. And that's really, really good. Scott trying to figure out whether or not he can kill his opponent here.
All right, now here comes Aaron with the entire team. Double Dungrove Elder, both of which are massive, getting chump blocked. And
yep, both get blocked, and Scott is able to simply
swing back. Wow, good job, Scotty.
Yeah,
that looked rough because I mean, really, Sword of Feast and Famine and Double Dungrove Elder.
Yeah, I mean, that's a beating. If that were a Sword of War and Peace, he most assuredly would have lost.
Yeah, that would not have been the situation. So, but yeah, Scott really